start recording. We'll jump right into it then. So, for those who know what I'm doing or what we're talking about tonight, tonight is a concept diagram from Wild Heart Esports. Wild Heart's one of the um, CCL competitors, and I believe Trench and Luigi both attended their retreat that they did a couple weeks back. So this isn't officially published or released. If you came to the retreat, you know, and kind of have some sort of insider knowledge before they officially publish it um, online. But essentially, they challenged everyone that attended to think about heroes in a different way than potentially what we've been trained and ingrained in us. And so the big thing that they're pushing for or challenging is some of the preconceived notions that potentially we have about um, A, how the game of heroes works, as well as B, what exactly heroes do, what they're essentially required to do, and trying to identify from the actual hero's basic kit what is their potential win condition, how are they supposed to be played, what's the expectations of the heroes when they're played, just trying to talk and walk through that type of perspective, because a lot of people, regardless of team atmosphere or not team atmosphere, review heroes and essentially discover that heroes can be played differently, whether it be through talents or just how people actually play, or people assume that certain things are going to happen and then they never happen, and so it kind of makes playing around that difficult. Or you drafted assuming a certain thing was going to happen and then it never happens. So, like for example, if a team um, drafts Greymane, one of the things that is expected or most people anticipate is Greymane will go do camps. And Greymane can go do camps by themselves because Greymane can camp. Like, Greymane's really good at sieging, Greymane's really good at doing that stuff. And so, imagine playing a game and Greymane never goes to the camp. You're like, okay, well, now I have a problem. I expected this tool, this person, this thing to go do that, and now I'm, I don't know, Stukov over here clearing a camp by myself because my Greymane refuses to do camps. But, soak still needs to happen. Camps still need to happen. And sure, in a competitive environment and on our team environment, that won't happen. But I can definitely attest to, even in my own team, thinking that certain heroes are supposed to do certain things or certain heroes have certain abilities because, it's like that's the way I play that hero. As an example, before the Dahaka changes, one of the things I loved about Dahaka was actually taking the Essence Auto Attack talent on 13. That particular talent makes Dahaka hit as hard as Greymane. And so, like, we had an opportunity to push for core in one of our games, and I was like, hey, we should try it. Like, at least get some auto attacks on it. We have essentially Greymane on our team, so, like, hit the core. And so I'm sitting there, tanking tower shots. There's 3 people dead on their team, and, like, nobody's hitting core. And then on top of that, like, the person I wanted to hit core, Dahaka, wasn't even hitting core. And I was like, what are we doing? Are we hitting core? Are we not hitting core? And he's like, I don't have the auto attack talent. And I was like, oh, well, that's an assumption I thought you were taking. And now we need to leave because we're not getting any value here. And so, even at my level, we make mistakes and we misevaluate heroes. And not that every single person, every single hero needs to have exactly a specific talent or exactly a specific setup. But hopefully, this activity will help us maybe understand a little bit better where things should go or how we classify our heroes. And so, for anyone that wasn't at the Wild Heart Retreat, this is essentially they're calling it the TOM diagram, the TOM. And so it stands for team fight, objective, and macro. And from a very high level, every hero in Heroes of the Storm can be placed in this diagram in some way, shape, or form. And during the Wild Heart Retreat, they essentially went through every single healer as an example of where they thought every healer should go or what every healer would do or fit. in this particular Tom diagram. And what was really neat is they actually did the healer Tom diagram twice. They did it once with Luigi and Trench's group, and then they did it a few weeks later with I'll call it master grandmaster players. And it doesn't mean that necessarily that the previous group did it wrong, but it was interesting to see the change. So the image, hopefully you guys can see here on the screen, is this is what I would say it was anywhere from bronze to platinum group identified for where heroes sat or what they did as far as team fight, macro, or objective. And so before like breaking down any of these things, just kind of look at it for a second, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the Diamond Plus group said about heroes. So if you're ready, that's the change. So a lot more heroes made it to the center for team fight, macro, and objective versus what we'll call bronze to platinum identified for their heroes. And once again, it doesn't mean that that group was wrong. It just means that as a team, like we need to have a similar understanding of if we draft a hero. So, for example, if I pick Uther, the bronze to platinum group had Uther as a strong team fighter, and that's it. Like he's team fight, team fight, team fight. But when you looked at the diamond to masters group, they said he did all three. And us having that understanding of where potentially heroes land or what that does can change fundamentally on how we play, as well as identify our win conditions. So, kind of in that same vein, I want to quickly kind of talk to these different win conditions and these thought patterns, as well as kind of get your feedback on potentially if you've ever heard this before, what this looks like, or if you've even ever evaluated heroes in this manner. So, when I say team fight, the definition can be kind of loosey goosey, but for tonight's kind of review, if a hero that we talk about happens to be in the team fight category, that means that the win condition for team fight is you're trying to fight 5v5 team fights, and or your team wins by killing the enemy team. So an example of like a team fight group would be like a Zeratul Diablo Jaina. And if you've ever seen it pulled off, Zeratul places Void Prison and captures 2 or 3 heroes. Then Diablo then pushes, or Jaina or Diablo pushes their ult, Ring of Frost or APOC. Zeratul drops his Void Prison. It hits 3 players with Ring or APOC, and then the other person follows up again. So effectively, they are stunned, rooted, and take damage for about 5 seconds. And those 3 players literally cannot do anything. And so their win condition is blow up 5 players in a team fight in a wombo combo, and then we can go do whatever we want. So that essentially would be how I at least have a picture of what team fight means. Do you guys have an idea of what else team fight could look like either a hero or a composition style that would fit in this team fight circle?
Like a pick comp.
Yeah, right? Like a lot of the times when you're looking for a pick, like whether it be Varian or Diablo or something, right? If you're looking for a pick, as soon as you get the numbers advantage, you want to go fight something. You want to go push something. You know, you want to get the objective now that you're up 5v4 or 5v3 or whatever. So, yeah, definitely pick comps would be kind of team fight based. Any other thoughts on what a team fight based comp would look like, or a couple heroes that you think are maybe specifically only team fighters?
Valera is probably only team fight.
That's a pretty good guess, right? Valera's doesn't really have a ton of wave clear. She's invisible, but like a lot of what she's trying to do is, stun and gank people. She's effective at killing things. She's not effective at doing camps. And when I think about objective, she's not super effective at burning that immortal. So she's not
No.
probably great at similar objectives. So yeah, I would agree. Like Valera would definitely be more of a team fighty hero. So cool. So then moving on to the next letter, I'll just do O for objective. So if your team's win condition happens to be objective based, the goal is that the strength of winning the match is by winning the objective. And so if we think about it, objective's kind of hard because there's 9 maps. And so depending on what objective you have, it's like the priorities change as far as what the hero's good or bad at. So if we were to take Battlefield of Eternity, right, like we could pick a hero that's really good on the objective, would be like Raynor. Like Raynor can burn the immortal really well. So it's like, but if you were to play Infernal Shrines, well, Raynor isn't really the best at that objective. He's not bad, but it's not like he's going to be racing it. Versus if you talk objective on Infernal Shrines and you have like Kael'thas. It's like, oh, Kael'thas is really good on the objective. Or Sonya or Kerrigan. So something where your team's win condition is we win the objective and then we win the game by either pushing with the objective, using the objective, whatever it may be. So when you think about heroes, that's their goal is to essentially have a objective. Is there any other heroes or instances of something that you can think of that it's like, ooh, like this person is really strong on this objective, or an objective where a hero would specifically benefit or add to a composition?
I think Alex Straza is strong, uh, especially on Infernal Shrines, but also on a lot of objective or on a lot of objectives in general because they like pop up every once and then that's when you pop your dragon form and you have this big power form.
Yeah, right. Alex Straza essentially has 2 ults. Like she gets to be a dragon, and that like
I
doubles
love
her
it.
output and her healing, and she gets to auto attack, and the auto attacks heal. She's got a knockback. Like, yeah, Infernal Shrines, you're fighting on this point. Cool, I am too, and my team's never leaving. Or Volskaya, right? She's like, we're fighting on this point. Cool, we are too, and I'm never leaving. I'm a scary dragon. Yeah, that's a really good one when people think about objective win conditions. Like Alex Straza can help you with that. Anyone else? Either a win condition, a hero, or something about objective?
Uh, Junkrat or Gazlobe or anyone who can set things up on Praxis.
Oh yeah, right. Being able to set up vision or traps or little nests can be super annoying on Braxis, right? Like people are trying to get to the point, and so the person's standing on the point, and then Junkrat just blows them off the point, and you're like, sucks to be you. it's like, they have pretty good stall. Gazlo can be super annoying because he can drop a whole bunch of turrets. So if you want to take the point, that's fine, but you're getting pelted by 3 turrets. Yeah,
Abathur Mines.
yeah,
Um,
Avather Mines.
would
Yeah, go ahead, Shadow.
would you consider boss control comp subjective?
Oh, that's a great question. So any map that has a boss, so like if you think about like Cursed Hollow or um, Warhead Junction or Sky Temple, like map and Spider Queen, maps that have bosses. Like a lot of the time when you look at like what actually caused the team to win, um, especially like Cursed Hollow and Spider Queen, if the team doesn't win right away, they usually depend on the boss. And so, yeah, like being able to have a boss control can potentially be something that could be an objective. Um, but kind of in that same category, we'll have to make sure we have our definition straight because going forward, I'm going to put macro as potentially some boss things. But before we go there, any other thoughts on objective? Cool. No worries. We can always come back. So for these, at least for tonight, when we talk about macro, what I want us to think about is macro is using minions, camps, boss, or any other tool to siege and hit buildings. Because at the end of the day, you win the game through killing buildings. Whether it be through, fort, then keep, then core. Say it's like juice pirates. You're like, I don't care about you. I'm just going straight for the core. it's like that's a very macro based comp because I don't care what the enemy team's doing. I'm just going for core, right? Or you can think of certain heroes as very heavily macro favored. Like I think about Malthiel, and Malthiel has amazing wave clear. He can do camps. He can push things. So he definitely helps out on macro. But like Malthiel can't siege very well. So, it's like something to think about as far as like how does Malthiel macro? And he's like, well, he clears waves and the minions hit the buildings for him. So, yeah. So I do think I'll say boss control will probably fall under objective, but like taking boss or pushing with boss or whatever would probably be more macro oriented. Does anyone else have an idea of macro, whether it be comps or heroes or maybe clarifications on those definitions?
Sylvanas.
Oh yeah, Sylvanas definitely
I
can
love.
can shut down buildings. She can empower mercs. She can take mercs. Yeah, I definitely think that she um, has a strong macro emphasis.
I think an alternate approach to macro is like things that move your team around or globals.
Very good. Yeah, being able to be all around the map to position and do stuff can be strong for macro. Um, it's like so I know that if you have medevac, that enables your team to macro on the map really really well. Or even just having Falstead or Dahaka or Stage Dive ETC, right? Like that enables you to do other things on the map while pushing and sieging and doing stuff and then show up when needed. So yeah, that's really good. Cool. So, like I said, tonight, like I said, we probably won't finish everything. But the goal here is as we continue to play and do stuff, not that you have to be bared down and locked down, like these are your 4 heroes, you never get to play heroes again. It's more of like, if this is something you enjoy playing, so that way everybody on the team knows kind of where we're potentially drafting and what potential win conditions we're doing as a team. Because a lot of the time, if I was to go back and look at the last like 10 drafts of what we do, we essentially play the same game plan every time, which isn't bad. If we like it and we're doing it well, great. So it's like, but it's one of those things where when we're identifying the enemy's draft, when we're identifying heroes, potentially we're telling too much in our first couple picks, and that might make us inflexible. So as an example, I was gonna pick on Trench since Trench gave me his heroes. So Trench gave me for his off lanes he wants to talk about tonight. Sonya, Blaze, Thrall, Malthiel, and Diva. So I'm gonna pick on Thrall for a second. So if we were to, in the first 3 picks of a draft, pick Thrall, where do you think Thrall fits in these 3 rings between team fight, macro, and objective?
Team fight objective.
You think Thrall's team fight / objective? Okay.
I kind of think. Well, I have seen him around going and doing like macro stuff, but like I was thinking more like all 3. Because
Okay.
like, he could come to objective, toss some people. Wait, does Thrall do that?
Thrall's got the
Oh,
Wolfquake, the Sundering or Earthquake,
I
Lightning
mixed
Bolt.
that part up with Garage.
Okay.
Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Tracked my statement. Of course, there are some things that could screw somebody up at objective.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So maybe team fight / objective oriented. Um, I don't know. Is Joel not here, or is he just talking through you? Oh, he's muted. That's what it
Oh,
is.
yeah, he's listening
Okay.
in.
So, anyone else thoughts on Thrall? Where do you think Thrall goes in our couple circles here? Okay, so everyone kind of agrees that Thrall is a team fight slash objective type of hero, which is fine. As I'm like, I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. He's a macro hero. No, like the goal is to be able to have everybody kind of have a definition and understanding. So if we draft Thrall, say it's like you're not expecting Thrall to double soak because he really can't. so, um, so I think that's a good placement for him. Like obviously it depends on the map. Like some of the objectives I could see Thrall being powerful, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like we need to hold a point for a long time. Thrall's got lots of sustain. He brings Earthquake, which keeps people, focused on a point. A lot of Thrall's kit is very team fighty, right? Like he brings Sunder, which is a stun and pushes people. He brings a root. He brings potentially percentage health damage. So yeah, like when I think of Thrall, I definitely think of team fight, right? Like we're drafting him because we want Thrall to join us for whatever we're doing and win the fight, right? It's like I'm not expecting Thrall to split push while we're stalling an objective at Cursed Hollow. Like sure, Thrall can hit buildings, but like he's not gonna get a ton of value versus like if I had Greymane split pushing. Like if the four of us are stalling and Greymane's bottom sieging, it's like, yeah, we can stall forever because Greymane will take your whole building if you don't go answer him. So yeah, I think that's fair. So kind of in that same vein, I'm just taking notes and stuff as we go, as far as like kind of as people identify heroes and things. But yeah, I just want us to be able to spend the next about, as it looks like 30 minutes, to try and go through as many heroes from each player. And so what we'll do is we'll kind of do one player at a time, just so that way we can potentially even rank or review kind of what they are, or what they're doing, potentially even versus each other. So, and yeah, and just hopefully as we go through it, we'll see where do we as a team like playing, or what potential win conditions do we like doing, and then like potentially are we picking things that are inflexible, and so we end up not necessarily gimping our draft or doing things like it's fine to pick what you want to pick. Like as an example, right now, if you had to pick what are the top like 4 meta heroes right now in heroes, like what do you see every game that has to be banned or picked?
Follow Brightwing.
Yeah, I'd say Vol and Brightwing are pretty popular right now on the ladder and on the meta. Anyone else thoughts? Top four most played or most dangerous heroes in on the game right now.
Diablo's either always being played or banned.
Okay, Diablo seems like a powerhouse. Anyone else thoughts? I don't know about you, but everyone seems to be banning Zebo. I don't know if he's good or not, but everybody loves Zebo and Zagara. So,
Yeah, had
yeah,
like practice since he got buff.
yeah. So I'm just gonna quickly use hero profile here. I'm gonna cheat. What are the top 4 heroes? So right now, based on popularity, look at that. Vala, Brightwing, Nazeebo, Zagara, Asmodad, Stitches, and Diablo. So there's your top 5, what, no, 10, 2, 4, 6, top 8 most popular heroes right now. Regardless of win rate, those are your top most popular heroes. And so it's one of those things where if we know that those are what people are playing or what people like, it'd be nice to know, like, what exactly are they doing with them? Are they helpful? Are they not helpful? What are they? And so, yeah, this Tom diagram tool can help us identify potentially what win conditions are they and what do they show. So, as an example, I said I'll keep picking on Trent since he's not here. So we'll start with another one of his. Let's go ahead. We're going to put Diva on the board here. So if we have a Diva as our offlaner, what do you think Diva brings? Where do you think Diva belongs in this circle of circles?
I think she can do all three.
You think she can do all three? Why do you think that?
Well, she clears stuff pretty fast, and she can do some camps on her own. She has that bomb that she can blow off, so she can go to an objective. If she has it up, pop it, blow it up, and then people are gonna run away so they don't get blown up. Or in a fight, she can do the same thing, but if everyone's stunned, they're blown up. I don't really know much about her her W that like I guess lessens attacks or something.
The damage reduction one? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know much about that, but yeah, there's that. And then she can boost into stuff and knock people back. So like, what's that? Area control for objectives?
Yeah, that sounds good. I kind of like the reasoning for all three so far. What do you guys think?
I feel like I'm leaning a bit less on team fight because she doesn't really like help burst people down that much, and it's pretty hard to like get any kind of sort of follow up off of her stuns. Like in team fights, a lot of times she just is there and does damage and things, but I don't feel like she's particularly good at it. Unless some cheeky combo with self-destruct or something.
I could see that. So maybe not dead center for team fight stuff, but maybe more like this macro objective, part of the loop, and then maybe touching that team fight line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with that.
No, I agree. It's kind of hard to potentially use some of her skills in a team fight, right? If you're if our win condition is, blow them up or do something outside of like Luigi mentioned, some sort of special combo, potentially Diva won't be able to do tons of work. It's like she can help, but it's like, that's like you mentioned, the zone control with the bomb, or the fact that she can do camps and she can split soak and she can siege, yeah, she has a lot more tools, I think, in those macro objective type things. Not that she's a bad team fighter. It's not like, oh, we brought Diva to the team fight and we're sad. Like, no, just she's not maybe potentially the hero that helps you win the team fight. She's just along for the ride. So, I like it. Any other thoughts? Okay, cool. So I'm not going to do all the offlaners right now because Trent isn't here. So we'll jump back to those. But I just wanted to start kind of like picking on things that are there. So let's start with... let's go ahead and just pick on Wendy since she's been talkative.
God damn it. That's what I get for being talkative.
No, I appreciate the feedback. So, what are the heroes that you brought tonight, Wendy? Who do you want on your evaluation?
Everyone can probably guess Cassia, Greymane, and Sylvanas.
Okay.
I also chose Maiev and Tracer.
Maiev and Tracer. Okay. Which hero do you think you're looking at them and you go, I got this. This hero is these things.
Cassia and Sylvanas, because obviously I already said Sylvanas, she's part of all three of them. Cassia, I think she's more teamfight and objective. She doesn't really clear and take camps very well. I guess she could kind of be. No, she needs help.
All right, let's pick one. Which one do you want to start with? Cassia or Sylvanas?
I misunderstood.
Okay.
Sylvanas.
All right, so we're gonna start with Sylvanas. Where do you think Sylvanas belongs?
All three.
Okay.
I think mostly macro though. Maybe? Or Go ahead.
No, you're good. Okay, so why do you think I know you mentioned before her trait and like being able to like siege buildings and push stuff. So it's like, so you think if you had to pick a spot in these triple rings, you think she's like, you know, more on the macro side where those all intersect, and then something over there, or
Kind of more to the left of it. Yeah, about right
okay,
there. So yeah, okay, yeah, that's the middle of everything.
okay. What do you guys think about Sylvanas?
I think she's closest to macro. But I think the main reason people pick Sylvanas is for disabling towers and getting camps and decent wave clear. Uh, team fight, mostly just like does damage by existing all around attacks and Qs and just but like also she gets either of her ults can be really big in team fights. I still think that's fair. Not entirely certain about objective.
That's a good question. Where do we think, like, you can pick a couple maps if you need to use some examples, but like, how does Sylvanas help with the objective on some of the maps, or does she?
Well, she could help on Garden of Terror. And since she's pretty good at wave clear, she could also help on the spiders because then she could clear the wave faster and get more spider gems faster. And that'll get the creepy spiders to come down sooner for you.
Yeah. And then in both of those cases, she can use her trait to make the objective more powerful, right?
Yeah.
So.
And same with
that's
for the towers.
Yeah, that's probably the big thing about objective is that she can make any objective stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think outside of Hanamura, there's like right or Sky Temple, like all the objectives walk to the structures and hit them, right? So like, I guess technically Warhead Junction too, but whatever. But like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so any map where the objective has to walk to the buildings and hit the buildings, Sylvanas can help it be stronger or help it push harder. So yeah, I think she could help with objective on that win more side, but there's also that catch-22 of, well, okay, I took Sylvanas and we're playing Infernal Shrines, so if we win the objective, oh yeah, like we're pushing real hard because we can disable the buildings. But like, does she help you win the objective? Maybe. She hits things. She kills things. So, but yeah, I kind of like where you guys had her placed. I kind of imagined somewhere around here. This idea of like macro, team fight, objective, like you said, all three, but leaning more towards macro, just because like her trait is so strong. Like I think that's a fair place to put her. So, any other thoughts out there, Fox, Melkor, Sylvanas?
One thing that I don't know if this was purely just silver, but or the game in itself, but it seemed like she worked pretty well as a hypercarry.
I believe she can be built as a hypercarry. She definitely has the capability to be a strong auto attacker and can be talented into hypercarry.
But depending on if that's what you want her for.
So you're bringing up a good point. It's kind of like, why did we draft Sylvanas? What do we want her to do? Are we taking Sylvanas? Because like that's one of the fun things you can do now. So since we know, hypothetically, Sylvanas can be a benefit in all three, right? And we're playing, sure. Let's pick let's pick Infernal Shrines. So since Sylvanas can do all three, an early Sylvanas pick doesn't necessarily show anything, and we can pivot our draft. If we first pick Sylvanas, or top 3 pick Sylvanas, we can potentially say, oh, their team wants to fight us a whole bunch. They're trying to blow us up. Why don't we go for double support? And let's make Sylvanas be a hyper carry instead. And that's totally adjustable in a bottom half of a draft. Right? Or our game plan is to win the objective, and when we win it, Sylvanas is going to help us win more. And that's totally still adjustable in a draft. So, yeah, I think that's fair. I think you can use her in all 3 of these spheres as needed. So, all right, you had Cassia next, Wendy?
Yes.
Okay.
Cassia.
So where do you think she lives?
Team fight and objective.
Okay. What do you think team fight and objective?
Closer to the team fight, like a little tiny bit of objective.
Okay.
Just because she's not that great at clearing stuff.
Mhm.
She needs help with taking camps, so macros, not really.
Mhm.
And she has the armor as long as she's moving.
Mhm.
So, as long as she has that, she can be fighting more. And she may have her Q, which is ranged, but her big damage comes from the E, which she has to go in for.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like going in, and you're only going in if you're going to have a team fight, or if you're like me and just see someone who's low and want to take that chance and end up dying instead.
Mhm. So.
For objective, though, she could, like, or at least what I've tried to do is there have been times when I've tried to, like, pull people off of objective with her Valkyrie.
Okay.
Or like, she could blind someone as they're coming in or something like that, or just, well, that's pretty much it.
Okay, I dig it. Any other thoughts on that? On where Cassia lives? You think she's team fight objective? You think, Wendy, you're wrong, you're building her wrong, she's macro? I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I think he's team fight objective. Probably so closer to team fight because
Yeah.
But I guess something that helps with really both of those is that she's very sticky. If she doesn't get locked down, she can stay around for a long time
Mm-hmm.
in team fights and negate damage on herself.
And
Totally.
she has ways to heal herself and a little get out free card with her mount if you go that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all those assessments. I do think she's more of a team fighter person than any of the other ones. So, I dig it. Cool. I'm not going to do all 5 of yours because we're already 15 minutes till we're done. So I'm probably going to do 2 for each person. And then your homework will be to try to identify the other 3. And either we can talk about it next time as far as, hey, these are where I put these 3. Or we can just talk about it in the chat of like, this is where I think they belong or where they live. And then we can meet up and kind of go through what they do. So go ahead and think about for yourself, Wendy, Greymane, Maiev, and Tracer, where you think they live. So, all right, Fox. Which 5 heroes are you, or 4, 3, how many heroes, whatever? Who you bring into the camp tonight?
I could not make it few.
That's fine. Let's give a few that you love playing, and let's at least talk through what they are.
Gazlo, Kael'thas, Raynor.
Perfect. So Gazlo, KT, and Raynor. All right, which one you want to start with? Where do you think one of those guys lives that you know off the top of your head? You're like, bam, I got this.
Gazlo is everything.
All right, so you think Gazlo is a team fighter, macro, and objective. Why do you think that?
Closer to team fight though.
Closer to team fight, so maybe like over here in this little circle?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think that?
Because he mainly has his combo and a heavy stun that's very good in team fights because of his turrets and stun. It also very well zones the objective and is especially the way I build all of his abilities used can completely clear a wave on its own or take a camp pretty quickly.
Okay, cool. Anyone else have thoughts on Gazlo?
Um, yeah, I agree. Like, completely. Kind of hard CC combos, but can also have big like area denial around objectives and can get camps and wave clear decently.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I think you nailed that one. I don't have any, super changes or super thoughts on it. Like I said, the one thing I would consider or potentially think about is, like, I definitely put him more towards the team fight circle, because if I start comparing him versus like other macro type focus things, like his macro power goes way up if you take Robo Goblin, but if you take Gravo Bomb, his macro power goes way down and it's more towards team fight. So just something to think about when you're drafting him is if you potentially need him to do that, that's a change. So yeah, I think that fits. Cool. All right, Fox. KT or Rainer? Which one you want to do? You get one more. What do you want to talk about?
Let's do Kael'thas.
All right. Where do you think Kael'thas lives on the chart?
He's also pretty dead center.
You think he does them all? Team fight, macro, and objective, huh?
Probably again closer to team fight though.
Put it closer to team fight, you think, though?
Yeah, because he scales really hard into clearing camps, one-shot waves.
Oh, yeah. So he definitely can macro things, right? Like, as he gets higher level, 1Q or 1WQ can clear a whole wave. So I can see that. So that's pretty macro intensive.
And then Infernal just clears. I guess he's weak on BOE, but on any type of control point, he has a lot of poke and.
That stupid Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'd agree. He's got really strong objective. Infernal Shrines is one of his best. Definitely Phoenix is a good example. Like, you can put that on Volskaya, and it's like you're gonna stand here on this point and get beat up by a bird.
Exactly what I was thinking of.
Or you're gonna play on Braxis and you put it on the point. Go ahead.
Yeah, either top left or top center
Mm,
of the inner circle.
yeah. So I dig it. Anyone else have thoughts? Disagree? Think that he's garbage and should only be, pyroblasting people? I don't know. Whatever you think. Cool.
I think that's fair.
No, I agree. Like I said, the goal tonight is not, like I said, I'm like, oh my gosh, you put him in the wrong spot. To me, it's more of, if we're drafting these things, what exactly are we trying to do with them? Because, like, if we were to draft Kael'thas, and he kind of fits all three, and you're like, okay, Kael'thas, I want you to go take the mage camp, since you're somewhat macro-oriented. And it's like, well, I can't really do that. They have magic armor. I'm not great at that. I need help. It's like, oh, okay. So it's like, what type of macro does he bring, or what exactly does he do, or what would help us win the game more, or what does he cover? And then I agree with you on objectives, like on Infernal Shrines, on Spider Queen, on point control maps. He can do a lot of work. So I think it's good. All right, Melkor, if you're ready, give me your heroes and pick two that you want to talk about tonight.
All right. They are Uther,
Mm-hmm.
Stitches, ETC,
Mm-hmm.
um, Stitches, Tyrael,
Okay.
and Barian.
All right.
I would like to do the two that I have played the least.
Okay, so who do you want to go over?
Which would be Stitches and Tyrael.
Okay, let's start with Stitches. Where do you think Stitches lives between teamfight, macro, and objective?
I think he's got good. I would say closer to. All right, so let's do them one at a time. That'll be easier.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So macro, in the way of macro, the only thing I can think of is his smash clears waves pretty good, but needs help
Okay.
to finish him off. I don't think he really helps out with camps.
Mm-hmm.
And sieging, probably not great. I think he mainly wants to hang back and pull people into his, people that are hiding.
Okay.
So I would say more on the team fight and objective.
Okay.
But,
What does everyone else think? Teamfight,
yeah.
objective, macro. Where does Stitches fit?
I would say like solidly in team fight.
Okay, I think that's fair. Go ahead.
I think the main value that Stitches does is the kick potential to just get a guaranteed kill, which is team fight.
Mm-hmm. Right, like you land a hook, you get a stun, and if that person's dead, you're like, sweet. Now it's 5v4 and we got a free kill. Let's go do something. So I could definitely see that perspective. Anyone else? Melkor, why'd you think partially objective too?
On that, I think he's got good aerial denial with Bile,
Okay.
like getting people out of the infernal shrines, clearing, and I mean it should clear a fair amount of, or wipe a fair amount of minions as well.
Yeah, it's not bad. I would say this the one way to always remember objective is there's like if our game plan is to win the objective and I pick Stitches, am I happy that like we're gonna win this objective better, faster, stronger because I drafted Stitches?
I think specifically on like capture points
Yeah.
or
Yeah, like a Dragonshire, they can't come in if it's covered in bile.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those or channeling objectives.
Totally. The fun thing about channeling objectives too is if you channel the objective, you have to give vision. Like you always have vision when you're channeling. And so those can be some free Stitches hooks if you just wait for them to channel because they're standing still. Yeah. So you might be able to get a cheeky hook or two because they're trying to channel the objective. So I think that's fair. I definitely agree with both assessments. I would put him probably larger in team fight. I'd maybe put him like over here. Like, mainly team fight, but he could touch objective. He can get there. But, it's like kind of like the examples we talked about before. We talked about D.Va, right? D.Va drops a bomb on objective and she clears all the minions. She pushes people off. It's like Stitches has an impact, but I wouldn't be like, oh, they got Stitches. Watch out. They're going to fight for the objective, right? They drafted Stitches. It's don't get hooked. We're gonna die.
Don't get hooked or you're dead.
Yeah. So yes, I could see that. I could see team fight, maybe touching objective. All right. What's the other one you want to go over tonight?
Tyrael. And I've thought a good bit about this one and read over what you sent me.
Okay. Where do you think Tyrael fits as far as team fight, macro, and objective?
All right. So I feel like he's very strong in the team fight.
Okay.
Shield Sanct can be huge, and speed and auto attacks increase. I also feel like he can be huge into macro, shielding minions being able to blow up or apparently you can give the minions smite. You can smite the minions.
I'm
I
not
don't know
sure if
it,
you can smite minions. I know you can shield minions.
That's what that thing you sent me was saying. It's better to smite the minions than to put it on the than to damage the enemy minions. I'll have to test that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I don't play enough Tyrael to be like, oh yeah, it buffs minions. I know the shields work on minions, but
Right.
okay.
And
So,
then objective. So if let's see. Because clear isn't great, so I mean it's okay, but it's not,
It's not
sure
something to
about.
shake a stick at.
no.
I'm still unsure about objective and like how to place people in it.
No worries.
But I think he is stronger in the other two.
I dig it. Anyone else thoughts on Tyrael? Team fight, macro, objective? So we're kind of thinking he lives up here in team fight and macro, and maybe gets to objective a little bit.
Yeah.
All they
Smite
have,
does work on minions.
all the things that I think of when I think of objective is based around winning a team fight, then getting objective. So
Melkor's slanted. Every hero's a team fight hero. What do you mean? If we don't kill them, we can't win the objective. That's not true.
I can't think of any way like.
I will have to send you a game. There was a game that I saw the other day that the enemy team legitimately did a very good macro strategy, and they never team fought. Like, I think there was 2 kills total the entire game.
Well,
I mean, we've had a game where we got messed up on Infernal Shrines because they had like Asmodon, and he didn't need to be anywhere near the objective
to help.
to get shots on it.
Yeah.
True.
So, but that's fine. All right, so we'll put Tyrael for now, kind of right here in between teamfight and macro, and maybe touching objective. So
I confirmed that smite does work on minions.
cool.
Yeah, it was crazy. We had 2 waves and a camp, and I put it on there, and I thought I saw them attacking faster.
That makes sense. So, all right, Luigi, what heroes do you bring in? What do you want to talk about tonight?
Let's do Brightwing and Lucio.
Those are the 2 you want to talk about? Brightwing and Lucio?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what your other ones are yet? You don't have to. If you don't know, you can wait. But we have
Deckard, Stukov, and Rhaegar.
Deckard, Stukov, and Rhaegar. Cool. All right. Which one you do first, Brightwing or Lucio?
I'll do Lucio. I actually think they're both similar.
Okay.
Because I would kind of put them both towards the center.
Okay. So you think that Lucio is towards the center here because he does all 3 amazingly, or what do you think?
So macro, he doesn't do macro himself, but he can definitely enable a team to do macro really quickly by giving them faster rotations. Team fight. I mean, his healing is most effective when he can heal his entire team in a 5-man versus like other healers which won't have that advantage. As well as both of his ults are really good in team fights in terms of saving his team. And he can also can do well or does good when teams want to fight because of speed boost. He can keep pushing his team towards enemies so they can't run away.
Or he can burst heal them up or during the fight. There's also that too.
Oh yeah, his ult's very good.
Objective, I think, just comes down to his general ability to stay alive for a while, as well as he can move constantly to like annoy people or disrupt things. And he's probably weakest on objective, so I would say he'd still be in the middle, but like
maybe this top line
in the
here.
top area.
Yeah, I could see that because like when we think of objective, right? Like he doesn't help BOE race, but like he definitely can help peel BOE, right? Like he can be on those walls and boot people away, or it's like boot people into immortal stuns. It's like, and then same thing on Infernal. He doesn't maybe burn the the minions really well or the monkeys really well, but it's like he gives vision and he can ride the walls and he can help snipe minions and be slippery. So I think that's fair. Anyone else have thoughts on Lucio where he belongs? You think this is a pretty good spot for him, like right over here somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right to me from how I used to play him.
Cool. All right. How about our wonderful fairy dragon? Where do you think Brightwing lives?
Brightwing is kind of, I think, in the same spot, but for slightly different reasons. Macro, she can take bribe for camps, but also just her global can allow her to stay in a lane and absorb experience longer than other heroes, so their team can go out and do things, and if it breaks into a team fight, she can join. Team fight, because it's Brightwing. She can kind of heal her entire team. Her cleanse rate can be huge. Her Emerald Wind can be really big peel, and just
her polymorph.
Yeah, polymorph can lock down or can prevent heroes from doing what they want.
Yeah.
Or provide a great way to kill that hero.
Yeah, then she also brings spell armor, right? And it's like speed.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Oh yeah.
And then this objective is kind of a lot of things, and Teamfight can help an objective, as well as potentially Dream Shot if she's trying to stall.
Yeah, she's got pretty good poke with Dream Shot on channeling objectives. Yeah, I think she fits in all three. Kind of same idea. Maybe she's kind of a little bit further down macro objective wise than Lucio, and maybe even I said like if we had to now look at Lucio, maybe Lucio's in all three, but he's kind of closer over here to like, he's in all three, but he's mainly a team fighter. Versus like if I pick Brightwing, Brightwing's probably closer to the center of all three. Would that be kind of a fair evaluation? So.
Yeah, I would say so.
Cool. So, but yeah, like I said, like this is just step one of hopefully starting to identify what our heroes do, and like I said, I'm like, and honestly, I don't want to keep you any longer. Like I said, but for for homework wise, kind of look at the other 2 to 3 heroes or however many you think you want to bring to the team, as far as what exactly are they good at, so we can kind of make sure we're always drafting the same win condition. So like as a silly example, I know it was quick match the other day, but I know you guys drafted like a Stitches, Medivh, Uther. I don't remember what the DPS was playing. Orphea, and it was like it. I'm like to me, I look at those. I'm like, okay, Medivh has like team fight macro type things, and Stitches is team fighter, and it's like Uther, he kind of does a lot of things, but he's mainly team fighter. And then Orphea is all team fighter, so it's like, okay, we want to team fight a bunch. And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, Orphea's like over here clearing lanes because she has macro capabilities. So Stitch just hooks someone and then there's no damage. Or, it's like Stitch just hooks someone, gorges someone, and then there's not a portal to teleport them away to our team. Or say it's like where Medivh's soaking lanes and not really doing his macro thing because he's not a great wave clearer, but we need someone to clear the waves. So it's one of those things where it's like we brought the tools and I don't really know what our win condition is here. We're just kind of we're kind of all here and hoping that Stitches lands a hook. Hopefully everyone's standing next to them and they die.
Yeah, I think our plan is just to use that we just like ball up and use portal and just run into them. But it's not necessarily the best map for that. Because we had anti synergy between like Uther and Medivh.
Right, they're both burst heal protections, or it's like oh, okay, well, the volley keeps poking me once the shield is gone. So, but no, yeah, I just wanted to. I said it's just a random example that I remember watching on stream the other day. But hopefully, as we fill out our last 3 of each person's heroes, we can start looking at exactly what do we want to do, and then like how exactly does that enable us to win the game? Because like if we pick a whole bunch of team fighting things, and then we end up picking a hero like Malthael, like Malthael helps cover our macro. So it's like, and he's super macro oriented. He doesn't really help with a lot of objectives. He can help with some, but it's like he's so macro oriented that if you're planning on a 5v5, say it's like, well, he's gonna show up and he's gonna pop his ult, and then he's either gonna kill someone or he's gonna die. Like, then he's like, cool, I'm going back to soaking, guys. Catch you later. So just being able to know, like, oh yeah, like our win condition is, Malthael last rights gets a kill on Fat Boy Stitches or something. Like just being able to think about what those look like. So that's really all I had for tonight. Like I said, I definitely want to go through still what kind of the top 3 maps you guys want to play, as well as win conditions and stuff. But I can send you these 2 images just as an example of like how they identified all the different supports and where they thought supports were. And then they also made the supports bigger. So like if their image was bigger, that meant that they were more quote unquote relevant to like the meta or what was there. So this is something that's kind of funny to look at and see that Uther is originally in the one league was he's only team fight. That's all he does is team fight. And then to watch the other players say he's right in the middle, he does it all. And it's like, what? how did we get Uther so different? So, but yeah, that's it. That's really all I have for tonight. Any other questions or thoughts, or have you guys like kind of thought about or looked at the game from this perspective before and looked at their tools, or what are you thinking? Okay. No worries. Like I said, my goal over the next, like I said, couple weeks as we start playing more matches and figuring things out, is we kind of put all 5 of our heroes on the table. Or however many you're picking. If it's only 3 or 4, that's fine. Just whatever we want to pick on the table, and then have everybody have kind of a consensus of, what are we trying to do, and then, if we draft these heroes, our win condition is X, but, sometimes people have to cover stuff. Like, just because our win condition is, pick, say it's like, if we draft, so for example, if we draft Varian and Jaina, and, like, our goal is to blow up people with taunt, and Jaina throws Blizzard on the taunt. That sounds great. Who's got wave clear then? And you're like, well, Jaina's got wave clear. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, who has camp clear? And you're like, well, Jaina's got camp clear. It's like, oh, okay. So how many blizzards does Jaina have? And it's like, 1. Okay. So if Varian charges and taunts someone, and Jaina follows up by throwing blizzard, well, now the camp that you just asked her to clear is not going to be cleared, or the wave that you asked her to clear is not being cleared. So, like, despite that Jaina can do all those things, like, we can't expect her to do them all. So we need to know as we're going in, when Varian taunts, Jaina's blizzarding. Okay, so Jaina's literally going to walk around and follow around for a blizzard, or does the communication between the tank and Jaina need to be, picture perfect of, hey, is blizzard up? Yep. Okay, I'm taunting. Or like, hey, I don't expect you to have blizzard on every taunt. I just want you to focus on clearing waves. So hopefully we can, work through some of those things and run into less mistakes in that way too. So cool. Well, thank you guys. That's all I have. I could go on all night, but I need to hang out with my family and enjoy the weekend too. So, yeah. Any other closing thoughts or questions before I stop the recording and you guys can go on with your night?
Does anyone want to play today or tomorrow?
Sure.
Not today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna play some stuff with Joel and his sister, but yeah, tomorrow.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. I will catch you later. Have a great